Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everyone? Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan. Big podcast episode as we preview a fairly big September game. We've got the 1-0 Eagles playing host, coming home for the season opener, which everybody is now extra excited for. But you got the San Francisco 49ers coming to town. They're 1-0 also. It's a rematch from last year's game, which was a very weird Eagles win, 25-20, I believe, was the score. And who would have thought at that point, Adam, it would have been one of just 4 wins that they would have all year long. Kind of crazy when you think about it in retrospect.
That was a Sunday night game. It was so weird. Jannard Avery's coming out party, they say he went off in that game. He was so explosive, so much so that there are some teams that were looking at him at the trade deadline, but wound up not doing anything. It was the deep pass to Fulgham for the touchdown for Wentz. Just when you thought the Eagles might run away with it, the Niners come back. They make the quarterback change. The Eagles Singleton had the pick 6.
Yeah,
hey, you're right. It was a bizarre game, no doubt.
I tell you, now that you say it, it was a coming out party for 3 different players, right? It was, as you said, Jannard Avery. Although it seemed like a coming out party, but he was pretty quiet after that. But then Travis Fulgham, certainly for him, because that was the first of 4 straight amazing games. But the one that sort of gets overlooked is Alex Singleton. He came in because there was an injury. I think that's when Nate Gary got hurt, or somebody got hurt that day. He came in, wound up getting the pick 6 as well. But that started to kind of cement his status as getting more time. He got more time the next week, and then the next week, and all of a sudden he's a starting linebacker, which he is now. And he had a really good year last year for an Eagles linebacker. So you're right. Well, you look at that game as an ugly win, but yet kind of the coming out party for a couple of different players.
Strange.
Unfortunately, Only Alex really carried over. Now, Jannard Avery, we'll talk about him as this podcast goes on. He's still an sort of semi-important part of what they're trying to do. We'll see how long he has that opportunity for. But certainly Singleton, of those 3, is the guy that really kind of ran with the torch after that.
Yeah, and it's funny because, you said you mentioned Singleton, and he played mostly in sub packages last week because their plan last week, also after they started giving him some runs, is to play more run personnel. It was just a really interesting dynamic with the defensive play calling, and who knows, they may morph into something this week. That's the thing about Gannon. He's so creative. They did some things that we were not aware of, and we saw a lot in training camp. We heard a lot about training camp, the OTAs. We knew they were going to be a zone team. They certainly were, but they did some things that are interesting. And you'd mentioned Avery. I think you were the first person to tell me. I didn't, before I spoke to people who graded the tape, that Avery was down in the box. He sure was. In fact, they played a lot of 5. They played a 4-man front with an extra defender over the ball, as you were telling us the last show with Avery.
Yeah, and also Sean Bradley coming in to replace Eric Wilson late in the game. I can't remember. I'm not even going to look it up because it'd be impossible. The last time the Eagles played 6 different linebackers on defense without any one of them getting hurt. Right, I'm sure there's been a time where they had to just keep plugging and playing.
Where's it going?
6 different linebackers played on defense for the Eagles. Really fascinating stuff.
And the 7th guy is now healthy enough. He should conceivably to play. Davion Taylor. We'll get to the injury report in a few minutes, but I still think 7's a little bit heavy. But you know what? The way that these coaches coach, they're coaching specific roles. Okay, Sean Bradley, we're going to use you for as a run defender. Who knew?
Who knew?
No idea that was going to happen.
Well, I'm not sure Jonathan Gannon even knew he was going to do it. I think that was kind of a reaction to Eric Wilson struggling to tackle ball carriers. But but who knew in general that it was going to unfold that way?
But just Bradley being a run defender. I don't know. I didn't know him as a run defender, but we know T.J. Edwards, who played a lot, was that's really, in fact, it wouldn't shock me if he played a lot in this game. But Sean Bradley, just over 6 feet in the 230s, not exactly a guy who's pretty big, but he's smart. And what we had heard when the staff came in, based on their tape study, this is a guy that they identified that they thought could help them. And you know what? That's probably why he's on the team. They thought they knew the player from their tape study, and here we are.
Right. Usually guys, Adam, who make the team because of special teams acumen, like a linebacker, are going to be fundamentally sound players and good tacklers, because you can't play on those coverage units if you're not a good good tackler. So apparently Jonathan Gannon was like, all right, let's put a better tackler in when they go big up front. So that'll be something that we talk about in this pod as we look forward to the 49ers coming in. Couple of notes, I know that people were very confused, and it's our fault, really. I mean, we had plans for Q&A to drop earlier in the week, and then what we did was we pushed it back to Thursday without announcing that, because we wanted to give them an opportunity to watch the All-22. Now, of course, the All-22 is, the NFL is dropping the ball badly on that. It's not available on Game Pass like many people have signed up for, and who knows at this point when it's going to be available for.
Forget.
But we are going to stick with Thursday.
Yeah, we're sticking. No, we're gonna go back to Tuesday, correct?
No, I talked about it with them. Thursday is still going to be a better day for them overall based on their schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of them's Q is a coach, and Jay's got his trampoline park launch. Okay. So they just felt that Thursday was the best day.
All right.
Plus, it allows them to not just go back to the game, but recap get into the matchups that are coming forward for the next week.
Cool. Can mix it all up. Okay, cool. Very good.
Yes. I sure hope I'm right about that and didn't mess that up, but I'm pretty sure that's what we agreed to. And if I'm wrong, I'll do a better job of correcting it for our listeners, but I'm pretty sure that's what we agreed on.
Okay. It's just so disappointing, though, that NFL.com does not. I for the life of me, I don't know why the All-22 is not up with the Game Pass. I know. I was searching through Twitter this week to see if anyone had any information, and there was no information. So as you know, Geoff, I went through. I was on a mission to get an answer. Mm-hmm. Either I was going to. You and I have a contact at the NFL's PR office. Actually, a couple of them. Mm-hmm. But before I escalated to that level, I'm like, all right, let me search through the website, and I found it. And they don't have any ETA on it. Who the hell knows when it's going to be available? It's ridiculous.
It's too bad the NFL isn't a billion-dollar industry that couldn't figure out how to use new media technology and get it ready for the season. After having 1 million people sign up for the product that they're expecting, it's kind of crazy. So that'll be a Q&A will be Thursday. So to kind of give you our programming, now the Inside the Birds podcast will drop Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m. Q&A Thursday, and of course Inside the Birds radio. On 97.5 The Fanatic at Monday, 6 to 8 p.m. Our pregame show is Sundays on 10 o'clock. We'll be there again this Sunday, 10 to noon for all 1 o'clock games, and then 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. for the prime time games. And pretty soon we're going to have a few live shows that we're doing, kind of specialty shows that we'll be able to announce soon where you can come out and see us for the masses. So looking forward to getting that officially announced soon. And please, I hope everybody's checking out InsideTheBirds.com, our new look. It's been redesigned. I feel like, Adam, it's a much more journalistically sound looking website. And I loved our last website, but we redesigned it with the purpose of, more for news content and dissemination, and read great stories by ourselves and Andrew DeCecco.
Yeah, Andrew's great, whether it's his fantasy column, previews, your stuff, my Lotta story last Saturday. We actually, as we broke the story, we had it posted like within minutes.
Yep.
And we'll have more news up there as we go along. And I'll probably, at some point, I'm going to do an NFL notebook like I did 2 years ago when we first debuted the website. I must have done one for like 6 or 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. And our stuff is being picked up by bloggers and all that, which we appreciate. So yeah, we'll do that. And it's a very user-friendly design. Love that. And we're just, as you say, we continue to grind it out, and love being involved with 97.5 The Fanatic. We're actually, what's crazy? We've kind of figured this out on our own. We're the only Eagles show on The Fanatic. We're Monday night. We lead the week after Missinelli. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. and they replay this show on their app and on the website within an hour, and also live, as you said. And they have a lot of program at night, some really good program, but we're really the only Eagle show that they have from Monday through Friday. Obviously, they have their own pregame show and all that stuff, but it's cool. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Definitely appreciate it. We also appreciate our friends at Deal Dash, and we always share the great news with you. You should never pay full retail price. You go to Deal Dash or download the Deal Dash app. When you register, use the promo code ITB for a special offer for bonus free bids. That's right. Start bidding right away. Just use the promo code ITB when you get on DealDash.com or the Deal Dash app. All right, let's preview this game. We'll start off with injuries. Now, there's an adage in the NFL, Adam. It's not who you play all the time. Sometimes it's when you play them. Certainly, I'm sure teams felt that way about the Eagles last year because they were all sorts of beat up, especially earlier in the year. And so was San Francisco. That was kind of an interesting matchup last year. They were already on Nick Mullins when they met. Now, this year, Eagles healthier. We'll talk about some of the guys that have returned. 49ers, maybe not as banged up as last year, but still kind of hurting in some key areas that we'll get to. So let's begin with the 49ers, actually, because they're the team that's really got some health concerns as opposed to the Eagles, who are good. Give us an update on the defensive line. We got Kinlaw, you got Armstead, you got Bosa. What do we know about them?
All right, so Bosa's not on the injury report. He came back from the ACL reconstruction. He's okay. Here are the big ones. So let's start up front. They run a 43. Javon Kinlaw, who did not play last week, who's there, the guy who's supposed to take over for Buckner. He started last year as a rookie. He didn't play week 1. He's limited, but he's got a chance to play. Armstead is expected to go with the adductor injury. Dre Greenlaw, this is huge. They're starting weak side linebacker. He's having surgery to repair groin surgery. This is another one that turned out to be way worse than they expected. That's crushing. He's one of the more underrated linebackers a lot of people don't know about unless you're a Niners fan. So he's out for several weeks. Mosley, one of their starting corners, he didn't play last week. He hasn't practiced this week. If he doesn't practice later today, he will not be playing. You can't not practice 2 weeks and play. It doesn't work that way. So that's bad. Jason Verrett, one of their starting corners, was put on IR. Mosley's the other starting corner. Doesn't look good for him. When we go over the matchups, wait to hear the guys who are playing. The Eagles have a big advantage. They're speedy receivers versus a bunch of backup corners. Raheem Mostert, his injury, their starting running back, his surgery, as he said, turned out to be way more extensive than they thought it would be. He's done for the season. Boy, they've had to. These
up
man,
with this team?
They got some bad luck, man. No matter what, they seem to. It's just bad. They lost Justin Skoll for this season. It was one of the starting guards. This was months ago. Jeff Wilson had the meniscus repair. He won't be back till the second half of the season. So they've lost a lot. They've got a lot of players out. They've got injury concerns for this game, and the Eagles right now are clearly the healthier team.
Yeah, I mean, as of Thursday, I believe the Eagles, they came out with their injury report, and every single player practiced in some capacity.
Yeah.
There's not a single player who didn't practice. And obviously the great news of that, going back to earlier in the week, Adam, is that Landon Dickerson and Davion Taylor are now full. I think that we're both full participants now. So it looks like Davion, as you mentioned earlier, has a chance to play here on Sunday against the 49ers. Now, I would imagine that's going to be a special teams role if there's a role for him. We'll have to even see if he's active.
Yeah.
I can't imagine he's going to be thrown out there on defense against this 49ers, schematically crazy team, and they're going to ask him to go out there and make plays. So we'll see. We'll have to see with that. But as we go through some of the injuries for the Eagles, the most interesting one, I think, is LaRaven Clark being on the practice squad IR.
Yeah, we talked about the last show.
Yeah, I know we talked the last show, but so who is now the top backup interior offensive lineman? Is it Dixon or is it Herbig? Dickerson or Herbig?
Okay, so just to update our little nugget we had, I don't know if it was last Sunday's pregame show or last Thursday show, previewing the game, but what we had put out on our show was that Dickerson was farther ahead of McLeod and looked really good in practice, but I didn't know at that point when he'd be able to take full practice and have a chance to play. Well, now we have our answer. He took full practices on Wednesday and Thursday. It's Friday morning right now. Later today, if he takes a full practice, I don't see how in the hell he's not dressing. Now, that doesn't mean he would be the top backup guard as you set that up. Maybe he's going to be on field goal and extra points. Who knows? I don't have that answer yet. We'll have that for you Sunday. If it for sure, we'll know. We'll get it. But maybe Sirianni today gives it out. Who knows? He's been pretty good with injuries so far, by the way. Pretty forthcoming.
Sure.
This is his first full week doing it. It's just a matter of, the other thing is, the way it's explained to me is the docs have to clear him. As long as the docs clear him, I don't know why he wouldn't dress for this game. Because
Right, he has been cleared for practice, but we don't know
yeah,
if he's necessarily been cleared to actually play in a game yet. But
right,
he's
right.
certainly been ramping up now for a good 2 weeks. So
Yeah,
be very interesting to see if he's A, cleared to play, and B, if they tried to get him on the field, even if there's not an injury, like you mentioned, short yardage, goal line, play action, anything like you can do to make you look heavy, but then you wind up play actioning out of it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
so
go
to
ahead.
answer your question though, so
Mhm.
with Raven Clark done for the foreseeable future, as he's on the practice squad IR. So right now, that your top two backup interiors are Dickerson and Herbig. I know
Mhm.
Brett Toth can do it because he did it in the Jets preseason game, and they're cross training him. But those guys are farther ahead. You would want him, to me, you'd want him to be maybe a backup right tackle for now until Driscoll comes back. You know, he's
Mhm.
eligible after the third game, as is the two guys. It would be Driscoll and the corner, Josiah Scott, who I was told, barring something unforeseen, should be available for the fourth week.
Okay.
So, right now they don't need anyone, but Avante Maggs was added after Thursday's practice with a groin injury. We need to see what happens today.
We
That's key.
do. We do. And now we also saw Marcus Epps was able to get on the practice field Thursday, but that's still, as I always remind people, it doesn't mean you're out of the concussion protocol. It is part of the concussion protocol to advance to a certain stage where you get out at practice, do some things, and they see how you react and respond to that. So it tends to generally be good news that they're going to advance to the stage and get cleared, but you never want to take anything and say it's definitely guaranteed.
Right. Yeah, he's got what's called the return to play part of the protocol. That's the last step.
Right.
We'll see, but you're right. Absolutely. The fact that he got this far is, I don't want to say it's a surprise, but the league changed their. I remember for years it was 6 days you could return from the information. Now it's 7 days that the earliest you could generally, the information says that the earliest players were recovering from a concussion are 7 days. So he's close. I mean, he's obviously he's close, but we'll see if he gets cleared.
All right, arrow pointing up for a couple of few guys who kind of came out of the game on Sunday. It looks like Ertz arrow might be pointing up to. Same thing with JJ Arcega-Whiteside to be back out of practice when he had the ankle thing going on. So Brandon Brooks. Now here's I gotta ask you about this. We really need to ask Jason Avant about this
Okay.
on the pregame show. I wonder how I don't want to call them the older player because it's not like he's been retired for 10 years. I feel like I know what Trey Thomas would already say, but Wednesday's practice is your first day back at practice. You know, you get Monday, you go in for correction, some treatment, maybe you do a little bit of stuff, something light. Tuesday's a day off. Wednesday, everybody comes back. And then the injury report comes out, and on Wednesday, there were about 5, 6, maybe even 7 veterans who didn't practice, and they called it a rest day. And I'm like, that's a little bit new. Usually Wednesday is not the day you give the guys rest. That's usually when you get everybody back and want to get things going. And then Thursday, Adam, there were a couple of other guys put on the list also with rest again. And I just wonder, I can't imagine this would sit well with guys who played in the 2000s, or even before that, right? I mean, that's a lot of rest for this early in the year.
Here's the crazy thing. So the Seahawks last year, what's the term the NBA players get? What's the rest one? What's it called?
Load management.
Yes, the Seahawks started, and I lost my mind when I saw them. Like, you can't be serious. What are they doing? Load management? What? No, not the NFL. Oh, but yes, that's what it is.
You know, Chip Kelly was into load management. He brought that up to him many a time.
But they never put that on the injury report, though.
No, they did not. Exactly. Now they're just they're saying the loud part now. Loud now, I guess, is what they say.
Load management. I can't believe it. When the Seahawks did it last year, it was the first guy to have it was DK Metcalf. I'm like, what the? I thought it was a mistake. I did because I get the one from the league. You know, this is official NFL injury report, and I see it. I'm like, load management. This is what the hell?
Right now
they did it all season.
We don't get to watch practice, so it doesn't mean they're not. They're all listed as, like, for example, this is what I didn't understand. Fletcher Cox was listed on the injury report, rest, but full participant. So I don't even know what to make of that. Brandon Graham This is Thursday. Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, Kelsey, all listed on the injury report saying rest, but they're full participants. If you practice fully, right, and you don't have an actual injury, you don't have to appear on the injury report. I thought
Let me see Wednesday.
Receiving treatment for something.
Yeah, let me see Wednesday. If Wednesday, you said Cox, right? So Cox, not injury related, rested player, but under full. Yeah, that is weird. Because I'm looking at limited. So, okay. Here's what happened. Wednesday, okay, I got it. This is it. Wednesday, he was limited, not injury related, resting player. Thursday, they can't. He took in a full practice, but they don't take the resting player part of it off. They just leave it on there. I don't know why they do that.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to put him on there.
Yeah, it's stupid, but he took in a full practice. Yeah, so
maybe you do if you actually start the week on it, and you have to just be updated, I guess. I don't know.
And here's another thing I hate about when they changed the injury reports 5 or 6 years ago. So as you know, as you recall, they used to have probable, doubtful out. They only have questionable or doubtful now.
Mm-hmm.
So they changed it from. Well, the big thing that they added is you'd have to say if the guy took in less of his normal reps, but they don't have to say how many. So if you take one less rep than you normally would take, you call that guy limited.
Well, what if your reps vary? How do you? Not everybody's relegated to the same number of reps every single day.
Yeah, it's almost like the honor system. It's just ridiculous the way they do this
honor system, more like it.
Dishonor, right. So anyway, I don't like the way they do it, but
no problem. I just wanted to let people know that what these injury reports are looking like these days. So they kind of take all the information with a grain of salt when they see like all these big
throw the salt
players,
over your shoulder.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get Jason Avant's opinion on that. I'm sure it'll be very, very favorable. Not. All right. Check out our friends at PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of Philadelphia sports teams for the fan, by the fan. That's their motto. You can find them on PHLSportsNation.com or at Twitter at PHLSportsNation. We'll pause real quick for a word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. All right, if you stop into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get a great deal. All right, let's start this game preview, Adam. We'll go Eagles offense against San Francisco defense. Now, the Eagles offense had their way against the Falcons last week. We kind of talked about Dean Pease and all the confusion and deception he was going to try to create for Jalen Hurts to get him to hold on to the ball. And what the Eagles did was say, screw that. We're just going to design an offense that basically gets the ball out of his hands, whether you do this, that, or the other. It doesn't really matter. So how do we see this differing against San Francisco? Because their defensive coordinator, DeMeco Ryans, familiar name.
Yeah. Sorry.
He's obviously promoted. He comes from the Robert Saleh tree, and Robert Saleh played a defense like the old Legion of Boom, cover 3 style defense.
Actually, not as much last year, just so you know.
Not as much. Did he switch?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not totally gone, but he did. He changed some stuff up last year. But this past week, it was Seattle's. They could play mostly cover 3.
Okay. I have to wonder if he's going to switch things up, though, because the San Francisco 49ers are really beat up at the cornerback spot. They obviously lost Jason Verrett for the year. They signed Dre Kirkpatrick, who they had worked out maybe a week or you can hit the mute button, brother. It's fine.
Yeah.
They signed that. Yeah, right. It's right on the screen.
Oh yeah, right here.
All right. First I'm going to teach you how to do push-ups. Then we'll get the mute button, and then you'll be a new man.
It's funny. At Sirius XM, they gave us all a mute button. It's literally the button. You press the thing down.
Oh yeah, the huge one from the commercials.
Exactly right. Exactly. I haven't used it in 5 years. I'm a non-cougher. I literally never cough. It's the first time I've coughed in we've done the show in 4 years.
Folks, if you're listening, it's a momentous occasion.
Yep.
Adam,
breaking news. Caplan cough.
That's right. Breaking news. We'll leave.
Sorry, folks. It's annoying. I hate coughers.
It's all fun. So anyway, with Dre Kirkpatrick at cornerback, I mean, they just signed him. He hasn't been with the team. This is a spot, Adam, where you think that the Eagles kind of capitalize here a little bit downfield, more so than they were able to do last week.
Yeah, and also Josh Norman.
Oh God, I forgot about that. That's right.
Yeah, and he hasn't played good football in years.
Mm-hmm.
He turns 34 in December. I mean, I know they're running the list of corners. You and I had been through this on our show when we were before they signed Steven Nelson. We were giving the list of veteran corners. It's so funny. You mentioned Drake Kirkpatrick, Darquez Dennard, who got hurt unfortunately. They're all journeyman kind of guys near the end of the career, and this is what you get if if the Eagles didn't sign Steven Nelson. These are the guys you're looking at.
Yeah, no, I mean, they think they're lucky stars it worked out. Darquez Dennard was a player coming out of Michigan State who I thought was going to be really good. He was really good at Michigan State. Real physical corner, good player. He did go in the first round. I believe the Bengals took him in the first round, was it?
And Kirkpatrick, yep.
And Kirkpatrick, yeah. But he was always hurt. I believe if you go look at his career, he's probably never played 16 games or even maybe not close to it, but I liked him when he was at Michigan. I think he was at Michigan State with Trey Waynes at one point. They had a really good defense there, that Mark D'Antoni defense.
I don't see how that would be possible. Like,
what year? I'm going to look at. I'm almost positive,
really,
but I could be wrong. Maybe one came before the other. But
okay.
But either way, Michigan State was putting out corners there for a little bit there.
Yep.
Yeah, Darquez entered the league in 2014. So Trey Waynes entered the league in, I love that,
maybe for
2015. 2000,
okay.
Yeah, so they're a year apart. I'm pretty sure they played together in Michigan State's defensive back. That's a pretty good team from Michigan State. But
they should have been better.
Well, actually, did they win the big? Nah, they always got to beat Ohio State. They always lose one game during those years that they should have won. But yeah, they probably should have been better.
Nice.
All right, so we talk about the San Francisco defense. You should be able to attack their corners. You wonder, though, if this coaching staff is just more focused on what they do well with this personnel as opposed to attacking specifically, this team's without a corner, we need to take a deep shot. Because it did seem like last week was just so schemed up to what they want to do.
Yeah, the way that you beat this defense, so the guy who did advance of this team told me cover 3 beaters, tight ends. Absolutely, the Goddard should be the guy. He's the seam guy, not Ertz. Ertz can do it, but Goddard's obviously more athletic. We've talked about that. Mm-hmm. He could be a vertical tight end if you want him to be. Gerald Everett used to beat this defense. This Seattle defense, and ironically, who does Seattle sign? Gerald Everett.
Right.
It's the cover 3 beater is a seam tight end.
Yep.
Look, or you overload. What you do is you overload one side of the zone.
Right.
And the Eagles can do that now because they have so much speed. Now, if this D-line's better, okay, let's call it like it is. The Niners D-line is way better, and we'll see. We have to get through one practice today to see who's going to be available. Kinlaw's trending towards be available. If he's available, that'll help them. DJ Jones started last week. Zach Kerr, who's sort of a journeyman D-tackle, got a lot of snaps. Kevin Givens, who was an undrafted free agent in 19, got a lot of snaps. D Ford, by the way, who's been hurt a lot since they got him. You'll see him out there. Contavious Street had to play a decent amount or did get some snaps last week. So if the Eagles can protect, there'll be some opportunities. These corners are, if you thought the Falcons corners were beatable, these guys are way more beatable because we just mentioned Josh Norman and then Kirkpatrick, who you mentioned, and this kid, Demador Lenore, had a start last week. He was a fifth round pick this year. He had a start because Mosley couldn't play. And Dante Johnson, who was an original draftee in 2014, he's been off the roster, got to be 7 or 8 times. He's back. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to play. Mosley doesn't look good. If he doesn't work today, he's obviously not going to play.
Right.
And they got this kid, Ambry Thomas, who returned kicks last week, I think. He's number 41, who you'll see. Mm-hmm. This is super beatable, these corners, and the way that the Eagles corners receivers got open by scheme, by the way. This last week was so heavily schemed. Their receiver group got open by scheme. Very good job of design last week by the coaches.
I tell you, this will be a really nice test for Jalen Hurts because I think you hit it right on the head. How do you beat a cover 3? I can give you, as you mentioned, one formation that's specifically designed to beat it is 4 verticals, right? You're going to have those seams. And we always say tight end, but we know that this coaching staff likes to mix and match. I mean, you could have 2 wide receivers in the slot and maybe even your tight ends outside and try to work Devontae Smith up the seams just to get a faster matchup. And all Jalen Hurts has to do in that situation with one safety deep is look that safety to one end of the field and then throw it to the other end of the field. And you should have those seams open, but it does take some zip. You're going to have to get the ball down there on a rope and find those guys streaking down those seams. So the opening should be there as long as the offensive line protects. The offensive line, you would think, should protect well against a defensive line. There were a couple of guys that are not 100%. I also thought I saw that Nick Bosa didn't play his normal amount of snaps. I mean, I still think that they're working him back a little bit. I don't want to say gradually. He's playing, but he's not playing the same number of snaps that he had pre-ACL injury. So the bottom line is that the Eagles are strong on the offensive line. So this should suit up well for Jalen Hurts to put the ball down the field in the seams.
Right. So, yeah, he only played 55% of the snaps. So they played the kid Lenore, the fifth-round corner, played the most snaps of anyone on defense. Holy smokes.
Oh, boy,
wow.
That's not a good sign for them.
That's great for the Eagles. They're really good at safety with Tartan Ward. They played with the team for several years. Fred Warner's tremendous. Side-to-side linebacker, one of the top 3 linebackers in the National Football League. And then K'Wan Williams is their nickel corner. He'll play slot.
Mm-hmm.
Verrett's done, as we said. Bosa, yeah, you're right, man. He only played 55% of the snaps last week, which is not on the injury report. And the kid Ekubam, you might remember him from the Rams.
Oh, I do. Yeah, Ebenezer, is that his first name?
Yep. Yeah. And he was a stand-up outside linebacker in a 34. Now he's playing with his hand down. They still run the wide 9 under Chris Kuceric, who was a protege of Jim Schwartz.
Right. That's their D-line coach?
Yeah, he's tremendous. I thought that was the guy they were going to hire 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, when he went, instead of coming with Schwartz here, he went with Saleh to the Niners. He's one of the top D-line coaches in the league. But I will tell you, the Niners made a big mistake. I mean, Armstead's a nice player. The word was they didn't want to pay Buckner, who got an unbelievable deal with the Colts. No, they got a first rounder, but you can't get that kind of guy in the draft. Buckner's an incredible football player.
Right. And then they surprised people by just going right back to the well there and picking Javon Kinlaw in the first round. And he had a good year last year. So, man, if they had not had so many injuries, but, coulda, shoulda, woulda. But obviously right now.
Not Buckner, though.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. He's not Buckner. That's true. But maybe he'll.
No one is.
Buckner wasn't Buckner year 1 either, too. He kind of.
True.
It took that changeover from Chip to was it Kyle? Did they go straight from Chip to Kyle Shanahan? Or
yes,
was
sir.
Tom Sula in between. I forget. They had some.
No, you're right. No, it was Tom Sula. You're right. It was Chip. 16.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Sula, 17. I'll double check. And then 18, 19, 20, 21. This should be Kyle's 4th year.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's correct. Yeah. So, all right. So, hey, look, we just laid out the matchups. One last thing, running backs. I think they'll have an opportunity.
Yeah.
Just like we saw last week, but even more so, these guys can work the seams as well. Gainwell, we know Miles Sanders from 2 years ago worked those seam passes pretty nicely. So, I think we're setting up well here to see a more vertical offense this game, especially being at home. You're not relying on the silent count. A little more, camaraderie and chemistry up front than maybe even last week against Atlanta. So they should score points at them. That's what I'm trying. I mean, I know they're a young, growing team, and I'm not trying to put too much on the 32 that they dropped on Atlanta and say this is who they are every week. But it sets up well for them to score some points.
Yeah. Shanahan actually, it was Chip got fired in 15 from the Eagles. He went to he was the Niners head coach in 16, right?
Yeah.
And then he got fired after 1 year. I totally forgot that he was fired. It's unbelievable.
Oh, and then it must have went right to Shanahan.
Yes, in 17. Okay. Yeah.
So Tom Sula was before Chip.
Yeah, because remember, Bulky, the GM, and Chip.
Yeah.
They didn't. The stories came out that they weren't talking, and Jed York, the owner, had enough. He just cleaned house and he hired Kyle. And that was obviously a great hire. Yeah, I would say there'll be plays to be made. Now, again, the Falcons, the Niners have a better front. Now, if Kinlaw can't play, that would be huge for the Eagles.
No, that would be
Huge.
enormous.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, the one guy that scares me the most, to be honest with you, is Fred Warner. Great linebacker.
Yeah, he's great.
Playmaker, and the way the Eagles tried to work the ball horizontally, they're still going to want to have that in their game and go over the middle. But so with all that happening, I would think that Fred Warner stands to be a guy who could be very disruptive to their game plan. He's all over the place.
He's great, side to side. You're right. He's an awesome. And I talked to him 3 years ago. He had never played middle linebacker in his life. He had to learn how to play it. And wow.
Right. Yeah. Well, good for that. It was a good story of development. All right. Week 1 is over. We know that. We're on to week 2. Everything's just getting started at DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL. And to kick off week 2, DraftKings is giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. You just bet $1 on any football game this week and receive $200 in free bets instantly, no matter what. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new customers $200 in free bets instantly when you bet at least $1 on any football game. If you haven't downloaded DraftKings Sportsbook yet and taken this deal where you literally bet $1 on any game and you have a chance to win $200 in free bets instantly, wow. I don't know what I mean. You don't like money. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code ITB. Get $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any football game. That's promo code ITB to get your $200 in free bets instantly this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. You got to be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Whew, man, that is a deal, I tell you. All right, good. It pays to be a new user on DraftKings. Let's talk about the 49ers offense versus the Eagles defense. So I don't think it's any secret. I mean, we already started talking about it last podcast that the key to this game is the Eagles being disciplined up front and being able to stop the run and keeping the 49ers away from those 2nd and 3, 2nd and 2 play action, 1st and 10 play action kind of plays. You got to get off the field and not give these guys an opportunity, because that's where games are lost against the 49ers.
You read your keys the way whatever the rules are, the guys got to understand it and apply it and do it. The key is when it's going to happen because they do it every game. There's going to be a run where they gash them. It's the wide zone or zone stretch. Kevin Stefanski uses it in Cleveland. A lot of coaches do, but Mike Shanahan, obviously the father of Kyle, is the one who started it. You and I have talked about this several times over the years. Mike Shanahan created Mike Anderson, Atlantis Gary. The list goes on and on and on of all these backs that came out of nowhere.
Ruben Drones,
yeah. I mean, it's just really remarkable, and you see it here. The kid Elijah Mitchell, who was a 6th-round pick. Now I don't want to say I could have done it, but the touchdown run that he had, all he had to do was run straight. I mean, he did show he had long speed, but any NFL running back who's on a team should be able to score a touchdown on that run. Great blocking there, but there's so much disguise and deception. It's mental gymnastics for the linebackers and safeties if they're dropped down in the box, because John Gannon did some things last week which are interesting with their zones, playing 2, 4, 6, and also keeping the corners on sides, not switching off, not playing the matchup zone that they did in training camp in the offseason. Who knows what he'll do this week? Showing a lot of versatility in his brain in terms of what he thinks will work in a given week. I'm very curious what they're going to do this week against Kyle Shanahan. Obviously, they could look at last year's tape, though. The defense is completely different, new coaches, some new players. But you look at week 1 against the Lions, what worked, and go from there. But it's really tough mentally. But the good thing is Alex Singleton, as you mentioned earlier, who had the touchdown, played against them. A lot of the same players are back. Some are new, like Eric Wilson. It'll be interesting to see here how much TJ Edwards plays, because this is a run. It always, it never starts with a pass with them. It starts with the run, deception, and play action.
Here's where, to me, is the biggest chess match in the game. Atlanta comes out similarly with two tight ends or a fullback or one tight end, a fullback, running back. I mean, they were coming out in 12 personnel, 22 personnel. And so to counteract
21,
that, 21 personnel, right. Yeah. To counteract that, as you mentioned, TJ Edwards gets on the field because the goal is to stop the run. Now, we know TJ has improved as a coverage linebacker, but it's still not the guy they want. When they're in nickel, they want Alex Singleton in there along with Eric Wilson. So Shanahan will come out there with his 21 personnel or his 12 personnel. He'll have a lot of different formations that are big, that are intended to put TJ Edwards on the field with Eric Wilson to stop the run. Except unlike Atlanta, which was going to run the ball no matter what the 49ers are going to do is say, we got you. We're not really running here. They're going to take Kittle, spread him out right there. They're going to take Usich, who's their fullback, and say, you know what? This guy can actually run routes and catch balls. We almost got the Eagles on him last year on the second play of the game. Usich it looked like play action. He was free up the sidelines, and Mullins underthrew him. Or it would have been a touchdown because nobody was within 20 yards of him. That's what the 49ers do, and that's the challenge they present to Gannon, to the point where if I'm John Gannon now, I have to wonder, am I making the right move if I'm putting TJ Edwards on the field thinking I'm stopping the run, or am I inviting them to check out and throw a pass? And same thing with, am I taking Eric Wilson off the field again to put Sean Bradley on? Because now you're really telling Shanahan you want them to pass the ball on you.
Yeah, I mean, it play action, deception. It's just the mental gymnastics which challenges linebackers and safeties. Mm-hmm. Last week they dropped Avery in the box as a fifth defender. The kid, what's his? Is it Patrick Johnson? Was it the kid?
Yes.
Was that the one?
Yes, he played the Sam role that Gennard Avery also played.
Yeah. So they dropped him in the box as a stand-up linebacker over whatever you want to call it. He was the fifth guy in the box, which we saw in training camp. We saw a lot of that.
Oh, man. So, you're right. You're bringing up a great – I'm talking about the coverage linebackers, but what happens when you're throwing Gennard Avery out there, which they were doing in base packages too?
Yeah.
You throw – he's not used to dropping back. Can you teach him how to drop into the flats and cover the curls in 1 week? I mean, I don't know how much they've been working on that with him throughout camp or everything, but him or Patrick Johnson, this is a bad matchup for them. It doesn't mean they're going to lose. Doesn't mean everything's going to do them, but every team's got a bad matchup. This is their bad matchup.
Yeah, we'll see the game plan, what they wind up doing here. It's fascinating. Now, the one thing we should mention, Brandon Ayuk was split time with Trent Sherfield, almost identical snaps.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I think it's more of a discipline, get your act together, bring some more energy. I'm just trying to – I've read everything that's out there, and I kind of know a little bit about it. He did have a hamstring injury. Shanahan's sending a message. He clearly was. And even the O coordinator, Mike McDaniel, was talking about it on Thursday. Mm-hmm. That he handled whatever challenges they gave me. He's so gifted. See, Ayuk. Oh yeah, here's what we should mention. They rarely ask Samuel to run a 9 route. Ayuk is the shot play guy.
Right.
Samuel is their crosser guy, run after the catch guy. He just destroyed Detroit last week.
Yeah, and that was not a crosser. That was right along the right sideline, and he kind of
fell
off the defender and then ran the next 40 yards.
Yeah, but everything else was inside, in breaking, sevens.
Right.
This is what Deebo Samuel when he's healthy. He gets hurt a lot, but when he's healthy, it's get him on this, get him on that, in breaking routes. They're just great at it. They do the same stuff, but it's just, they seem to work. And obviously George Kittle, who was 15 for 15 last year, just murdered the Eagles defense. Yet somehow the Eagles won. I got some concerns with this Eagles defense. It's phenomenal week 1. I cannot wait to see what Gannon does here. Really can't wait.
It's going to be an amazing chess match. I think the 49ers are going to be able to move the ball. We'll see how. I think, it could be bend, don't break, but the Eagles tighten up in the red zone. Obviously, the pass rush is going to have to be a big deal. I mean, left their tackle is Trent Williams. He's really good. I know, both Avery and Derek Barnett made some plays against him last year, but in general, he's a really good left tackle. The right side, you have what? Mike McGlinchey out there at right tackle?
Yeah, he's – I know he's Penn Charter's own. He's a good player, but the word is that he's a leaner. Like he leans in, he gives you could get him on with your hands. And this is what an advanced scout told me. He said, you could win because I guess this is the report that he turned in to his team. They play the Niners down the road, but he said that you could win with swim moves, certain hand usage. You could definitely win because he's noticed it a pattern of when you could beat him. But McGlinchey's a fine player. McGlinchey's, the guy was a first-round pick for a reason. This is a good, not great offensive line. They're not as good as in the interior. Alex Mack is their center. Has been around seemingly forever.
Right.
Trent Williams. I don't want to say he played.
He's been around forever too.
Yeah, I mean he might be a Hall of Famer someday. I mean, people, everyone has their own opinion. But what happened in that Eagle game last year? What happened with him? Forget.
I don't know. I mean, he played the game.
Right. Did he give up? There was something. Did he not have a good? Did they give up a couple plays or something? I just remember.
Well, Barnett kind of edged him really well to stop somebody in the backfield for like a -3 or -4, and then was it Avery or someone else who got inside him to make a play? I mean, look, that's the thing about being a left tackle, right? Like you give up, a sack or 2 plays made against you, and it looks like you had a terrible game. And yet you played 65 snaps, and every other snap you were fine, right? So, and by the way, we really should mention, I know we brought up the defensive lineman, but for Mailata, this is obviously a way bigger test going up against Nick Bosa than it was last week against the Falcons. And this whole defensive line, I'm sure they probably do a lot of twisting and stunting and attacking with their linemen the way Seattle used to do. So this is going to be a really big test for not just the whole line, but really Mailata.
Oh, this is huge for Mailata. We'll see how well Bosa can move because, as you said, he didn't play his normal amount of snaps. It's a situation where each team has their own advantages and matchups. I think offensively, as I said, the Eagle receiver should, if the Eagles protect well, plays would be able to be made against the Niners zone. There's no question in my mind. Avery in that game, he had, holy bleep, 5 quarterback hits last year. 5. It's the Niners. I told you he had a huge game. He was all over it. All over it.
Yep. What do you think Nick Mullins said when he came to the Eagles and saw him?
And that's funny. It's right. It's like, and Nick Mullins, jeez, wow.
He's probably like, I was hoping to never see you again.
Yeah, it is amazing. And then he got pulled after pick 6. Beathard, I remember you and I talked about this as you had a good recall on that one. Beathard brought him back.
Right.
But I would say this is a tight game. I do like, if you're a Niner fan, that they have the coaching experience, obviously, with Shanahan. Now, this is DeMeco Ryan's first year as a D coordinator. The Niners gave up a lot of cheap production. They went dime, and the Lions moved the ball like crazy with their backs. We didn't really talk much about this. Now, DeAndre Swift, a Philly native, he had a huge game. So did Jamal Williams, but a lot of it came in when you're going against sub packages because the I think they were up by 28 at one point. The Niners were.
Yes.
And that's how they were able to come back because you're not going to play. I mean, you're just not going to play a lot of your starters when you're up by that much.
Right.
And that's kind of what happened. And then, the Lions scored furiously. They scored 16 points in the fourth quarter to make it an 8-point game and almost won it. I don't know
why they were passing, though. I mean, I think Debo's fumble. So the Lions scored a touchdown, and then they threw to Debo on 3rd down. He fumbled, and the Lions got the ball back. And I couldn't figure out why they were even, at that point, passing the ball. I mean, they were doing – it was so late in the fourth quarter. Yeah. They were up, as you mentioned, but I guess they got burned on that, and it almost made it too close to the game.
And Hawkinson crushed them. I'm telling you, this is a team that I feel because, and especially with Dre Greenlaw out with the groin surgery, other than Warner, you could get on these guys. And I would be surprised if they don't get Goddard heavily involved in this game. Now, what that winds up looking, we'll see. But to me, this is a matchup. If they protect and let Goddard run patterns, he could do pretty well here. And even Ertz, we don't know how much he can play with that hamstring, but we'll see what they do.
Do you think this is a game that Gannon will feel like he may have to blitz more than last week?
Boy, they barely blitzed last week. That because we had no frame of reference. We had no idea how much they wouldn't blitz or blitz.
Right.
It's a good question because Jimmy G's not a bad athlete. Oh, and there's the other thing, the Trey Lance package. We should mention that.
Oh man, how did we forget that? Yeah.
Now, what is that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. What
I
do you
was
say?
just going to say, I'd be shocked if he didn't play more. I think he played, what, one snap, threw a touchdown, and came out?
Something like that.
I would be stunned if he didn't play at least 5 to 7 snaps against the Eagles and run with the ball, especially after what the tape that the Eagles just put on Atlanta with their run defense. You add a third guy who can run, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he ran a few quarterback option plays.
Yeah, Trey Lance played 4 snaps in offense.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he did score. I'm fascinated because Gannon was asked about this in his press conference earlier this week, because Gannon, you made a really good point on one of our whatever our last show was, how they clearly did a good job last week of assigning everyone a responsibility, and these guys handled it. You know, that like Jim Schwartz was big, mostly man, right? Mm-hmm. That's hard to do when you're not very talented. The Eagles are more talented on defense this year, not super uber talented, but they've got more talent. But Gannon and his coaches did a really good job of asking these guys, just carry out your assignment. And they did such a good job. But now you got, as Geoff just outlined a couple minutes ago, Shanahan does so many things, and the mental gymnastics are so huge. I'm so curious about how he's going to deploy all the personnel in defense. This is going to be fun.
It will be fun. So we'll see if Gannon has to blitz a little bit more. We'll see if Trey Lance is more involved. I tend to think he's going to see at least 5 to 10 snaps, and I wouldn't be shocked if you saw some read option with him, some RPOs, everything. Just anything to take advantage of the Eagles' defensive front.
Sure. That's another wrinkle with their zone scheme, but offensively. Now the other thing is how they're going to cover Kittle. Just murdered them last year. I understand new defense. I get it.
Well, that's the thing. They're not going to have to cover him. You know, it's not going to be Nate Gary on him for 15.
Right. That's true. Eric Wilson, you could try. Not that that's easy, but wait, if folks, I know the All 22 is not available, but if you're home watching the game and you've got, like on Verizon Fios, I have it. They have great replay. Like you could slow it down frame by frame. Watch Kittle angle block. It shows you why he's so great. And also he's a pretty good athlete. And the space that Shanahan creates for these guys, Shanahan's best attribute is he creates space for the running backs and the receivers and tight ends.
Yep.
That's why Kittle's so great. He's the best all-around tight end of the National Football League. And Juszczyk, as you mentioned earlier, he'll get screens. As you said earlier, he almost scored last year.
Yes.
Juice, don't forget, Juice was a tight end in college at Harvard. When he went to the Senior Bowl, because he's too short, 6'1.5", they made him a fullback. And he's now the highest paid fullback in NFL history. I mean, this guy is a hell of a football player. Man, you're scaring me. I might have to pick the Niners in this game. I don't know, man. This is all the stuff you pointed out. I don't know.
You buried the lead with Juszczyk, man. He was going to be the Super Bowl MVP until because he scored the only 2 touchdowns for the 49ers in that game or something like that until the Chiefs went on one of their trademark second half rallies in the Super Bowl.
I don't remember that. Okay.
I'd have to go look. I thought Juszczyk had 2 touchdowns in that game.
I don't remember. You might have better recall. I don't remember that. But I just remember he was invited to the Senior Bowl. It might have been our friend Phil Savage who invited him. I can't remember exactly if Phil was in charge then, but I just remember, like, Harvard. You guys are inviting a Harvard tight end. And that was where he moved to fullback, and thank goodness for his sake he did. He became pretty wealthy. And man, I'll tell you what, this is the chess match between Gannon and Shanahan, right? And Sirianni versus D'Amico Ryans. The subplots are phenomenal. I cannot wait for this game.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. He didn't have to. He had 1 touchdown in the Super Bowl. He had 3 catches for 39 yards and a 15-yard touchdown that tied the game at 10. But yeah, he's a weapon for them. He's just not a traditional fullback. The
weather's beautiful in the high 70s out here, folks. If you're not from Philly or New Jersey or Delaware, the weather's good. I know some people come down from New York, so it's just perfect. I'm glad both teams won. Did I see this right? Are the Niners a favorite, huh?
They are. We're about to get into that. What a great segue by you.
Okay.
Before we talk about that, if you want to get an advantage over your sportsbook, you have to download BetQL, the only app you'll need to make smart bets. Look, they've got a computer model scanning over 350,000 unique bets a year to give you the best bet recommendation for every game across all major sports and gives you the reason why you should make that bet. Their model covers spreads, over-unders, player prop bets. And even if you don't like using the model and you want to do the research yourself, they've got all the necessary tools for your betting research needs. BetQL has everything from sharp data, line movement, team summaries, lineup, injury breaking news, and even leaderboards to track your success. So you can head to the App Store or Google Play Store and download BetQL, or you can go to try.betql.com/ITB to get started now. And you just enter the discount code ITB at checkout for 25% off their subscription offerings. So check out the Sportsbook offers page if you live in one of the eligible states to claim free offers upon signing at any one of the many sportsbooks that are listed. Do not miss out on the chance to beat your sportsbook this football season with BetQL. All right, so as you were mentioning, on DraftKings Sportsbook, if that's the sportsbook you place your wager at, which you should, you will find that the Eagles are 3.5-point home underdogs. And if that sounds familiar, they were, I believe they were 3.5-point road underdogs last week at Atlanta. So this is the role that, the Philadelphia Eagles love to be. We're the underdogs, right? We're from Philly, we fight. So 3.5-point underdogs, Adam, and they're plus 135 in the money line, which looks kind of enticing right now, to be honest with you. And the over-under is 49.
Ooh, that high.
Yeah. Well, you know what? After the way we talked about the difficulties both teams are going to have with matchups, the 49ers corners and the Eagles linebackers, I'm not surprised that the over-under is 49. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
You do every week, and I take the under. I'm 2-0. I had the Eagles, and I liked it under. Well, I don't remember what the number was, but I know it definitely went under because it was less than was it 32-6? Was that the score?
Yeah, that was so 30. I forgot what the over/under was in that game, but it was higher than 38. I'm
pretty
sure.
Yeah. I'm going. Oh boy, this is tough, man.
Listen. I've woke up every single. Not even just every single day. I've changed my mind on this 5 to 6 times.
Give the listeners a reason why. I'm curious to hear it.
Because, all right, when the schedule first came out, I thought it was a loss. I think the Eagles had done free agency in the draft. Yeah, because the schedule came out late this year. My God, I think it came out in June. It felt like that. But I just felt like the 49ers, if healthy, would have the better 53. They got a good offensive line, a good enough offensive line. They have a very good defensive line. Obviously didn't know about the cornerback issues they were going to have. And that's why, as I sit here today, I'm conflicted. I also didn't know, and I know it's just one game, but I was really impressed with Jalen Hurts, what he did in Atlanta, and just in generally impressed with the offensive scheme. And I do think the Eagles are going to be able to score points. I worry about Fred Warner, man. For some reason, I just worry about his ability to kind of wreck what they may want to do.
Big play like last week?
Yeah, he's just a really good linebacker.
Great player. This guy's a stud.
So I've gone back. I feel like whoever's going to win this game, I feel like this is going to be a close game. I feel like it's going to be about a 26-23 type of game. That's
right at the number.
Actually, that's the number, 49. Maybe even a little bit higher than that.
Yeah.
The Eagles are home, so I kind of got to flip that, and I know the Linc is going to be rocking, but I just don't know how they're going to have an answer for what the 49ers do well offensively. So I'm tempted to say that I think the 49ers are going to win maybe more like 27-24 because I think both teams are going to score points. That's how I'm feeling right now, but there have been times where I say, you know what, I think the Eagles are going to pull this one out. But for the purposes of this podcast, we need to come up with an answer.
Well, here's the thing. Dre Greenlaw, who had the the pick six last week, he's done it could be 2 months with his groin surgery. That's a big one. Do not underestimate that. He's a very good football player. Another great find by John Lynch and their group, who was a 5th rounder Greenlaw 2 years ago. Aziz Al-Shahir, he'll start at one of the opposite next to Warner. Ebu Cam, you could line him up DN or linebacker. We'll see what they do. That's a big loss for them. They're really bad at corner right now. I'm going the opposite way, my friend. I'm picking the Eagles. I'm picking them to win here.
I didn't pick the 49ers yet. I said I was still torn.
I thought you said. Oh, you sound like you're leaning towards the Niners.
No, you know what? I think I'm going to take the Eagles.
No.
No, should I take the 49ers? I mean, now at this point, where people listening are like, "Well, you guys just make up your minds."
No, go ahead. No, but you sounded like just a minute as I heard you talk for a couple minutes there that you were leading. You're finding all the reasons to take the Niners.
Take the 49ers. But then I said that, but they're home. The Eagles come home.
Eagles are home, right?
Rocking, and they got all these injuries now. Man, this one's tough. All right, look, you're taking Eagles. Are you confident you're taking Eagles?
I'm 53 to 47 Eagles percent.
Right.
Last year, all week, started Monday, Eagles, because if I was matched with personnel to personnel, it wasn't close for me. And it helped that we had 2 rookie staffs. Here you got my concern of Shanahan, D'Amico's second game, but D'Amico's we know how smart he is, and what did Chip call him? Mufasa? The Mufasa?
Yes.
Yeah. They're a good football team. They got mostly everyone back, but their secondary's in shambles right now. A corner, good at safety. If I knew, because we're dropping this right now, is Friday morning. I don't know about Kinlaw. If Kinlaw's out again,
I wish I had that information.
Yeah, I'm a small lean towards the Eagles here.
Okay, you're taking the Eagles. I'll take the 49ers then. I'm going to stick to my original gut feeling on this game when it came out, but I think it's going to be close. I got 49ers 27-23.
So you're higher score, right? You're higher score than I have it. I've got it. I got it. Eagles 24, Niners 17. All
right, good stuff. That will do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. Please check out the work of our producer, Hunter Brody. We always thank him. His work is on YouTube. His channel is called Sports Talk with Broads. His website, broadsmedia.com, and on Twitter at Broads81. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.